a team that if you give them the millimeter, you give them a flash, you give them a burn heal, something like that, any kind of advantage on the bottom side of the map, they will take it, but they also are prone to getting camped out.
Well, let's see if they can create that advantage down the bottom lane one more time here, or if we'll see the return of interesting bugs and Skarners coming back onto the Rift Heroes. We are into Champion Select for game number 1 between EDG and Vici, as Trundle and Twisted Fate are going to be the first 2 bans coming out of EDG, whereas Vici have decided to take away Jin and Sivir as their first 2 bans, really targeted bans towards Deft.
And as we said, you know, Jin, Sivir, Ashe, they're the 3 that kind of give Deft the utility and damage that he's looking for. I mean, Ezreal's the one you always have to mention. It's by far his best AD carry, but I just think that the other 3 have more utility right now. And that really does set up EDG for a lot of success.
Which means we're going to get one of the 3 bans that you normally see on red side left open, which could be the Rek'Sai, Vladimir, or Ryze. And now it's going to be Ryze or Vladimir that will be left open for first pick for EDG, because Vici probably going to have to ban one of the 2 here.
Yeah, and I think that you have to ban the Ryze, because Scout's Ryze is just so good. And we've seen it time and time again that if you give him the ability to carry, he will definitely pop off. So I think that this is been a little bit strange. EasyHoon is a good Vladimir player. Does he want to throw the gauntlet? I think that's still a tough matchup. And they get rid of the Ezreal.
Wow, they actually throw 3 bans over towards Deft, so EDG do have the option of picking up Vlad or Ryze as their first pick. However, that leaves the other open for Vici doing their second pick rotation if they choose to go for it. EDG might not even look at the 2 overpowered champions.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If they're both big AoE mages, just lock in the Maokai, lock in what you think the counter is to this. If you go something like Maokai and then, I don't know if Mako plays it, but Soraka, even if EasyHoon takes the Ryze, it's going to be very hard to execute. So I think that there are windows of opportunity here that EDG still get a better team comp.
Maokai is that lock-in coming in for EDG. They've been very favorable of the tree pickup for most of their team compositions. We've seen they played quite a lot by Log. It's now his most played champion coming into this game. Let's see what Vici respond with. Once again, both these teams not even looking towards the Vladimir or the Ryze to start things off.
And somewhere, like, I can hear Rusty and Frostgurun screaming because they hate the pick-away strategy that a lot of people run against EDG. And you can see Braum, that's a direct pick-away. Sure, it's one of Caveman's better champions, but you would prefer him something on Bard because they do need initiation out of their bottom lane. Ashe is an outright pick-away. I mean, Endless is an okay Ashe player, but he's not great by any means. Much more known for kind of his Lucian and his safe laning phase role. So we'll see whether he's able to make this work.
And he's going to lock that one in. So 3 80 carry beds and an 80 carry pick away coming in for Vici here into their game against EDG. Very interesting draft so far. The bottom lane has been locked in for Vici. They'll be playing Braum and Ashe.
Yeah, and I think somewhere you have to take... See, I disagree with this. I just think you have to take the Ryze. At some point, you have to be like, all right, cool, let's stop flirting with it. Let's just be like... Graves, he's nice and strong. I agree with the pick if they want to go for something like that. Let's just pick up Ryze. Let's throw the gauntlet because we already know they've got an immobile AD carry and Braum. So Ryze is not going to be too troubled by something like a Soraka in this game. But they looking to maybe grab their support.
Karma is still a very strong pick that we have seen go through first pick rotations.
Karma's great, right? But EasyHoon's not playing at mid lane. So you're going to get it regardless, is what I'm trying to say.
They might not even go towards it. Actually, they're going to lock in Graves, and it seems like Thresh is going to be their supportive choice. A champion that, never really faded away from competitive play, but has come back a little bit in terms of popularity, as Vladimir is the instant lock-in for EasyHoon, and Kindred is also taken off the table by Vici.
All right, so a heck of a lot of utility so far in the 3 jungle, AD carry, and support, and that means that there can be some outright damage for EasyHoon in the mid lane. He does go with the Vlad. Be interested to see now whether that alters what EDG play in the mid lane, whether they wanted to maybe look for a counter pick. I don't think it does. Honestly, I still think you just take the Ryze matchup and run heads at each other.
Well, let's see what they do decide to pick up here. Def still looking to see what AD carry he's going to be picking up in this game. No Ashe, no Ezreal, no Sivir, no Jin. That's a lot of the strongest AD carries in the current meta taken away. He's going to lock in Kog'Maw.
SKT playing a lot of Karma mid. I mean, does a heck of a lot of burst damage. Very good protect the Kog'Maw comp here. That's what it is.
And that is the lock-in. We've seen it a few times. I think last time we saw it in the LPL was when Punish played it mid lane for LGD.
Played it very well for LGD, actually. I don't think they managed to pick up the win with it, but he was putting in a heck of a lot of work.
If I'm not mistaken, he got the MVP performance for that game.
There
so
you
they
go.
won that game.
They won that
game,
series. And it was banned. You're right, actually. I am remembering. So, yeah, I think that the interesting thing about this, however, is that is so much consistent damage out of Vici's lineup if they go with something like Rise. Even Gragas, that's a lot of consistent damage. So they're not really going to be able to assassinate the Cogmore, but if they can kill the Karma, that gets rid of like a lot of the protection aspect. And I think that's what pretty much the game plan is going to be.
Well, they're still looking for their final pick. It's most likely going to be a top lane pickup, and that is going to be the Gragas locked in for Vici.
And this is so funny, because going into MSI, people were convinced that Gragas, after the hits to Maokai, had kind of become the next best tank. Like, he's got loads of CC in his kit. It's like very, very similar to Maokai and, I guess, Nautilus in that regard. But he also has a displacement, and displacements are hugely valuable, especially when you play something like an Ashe. I mean, you hit the Karma and knock her back into the team, she's going to instantly die. So I like the fact that Lung is going back to what is a pure tank in the top lane that still does a lot of damage through the percentage W on his percentage damage on his W.
Well, let's see how Lung can use this one up in the top lane. He's up against Mouse, somebody who had a few questions about since he's joined the EDG lineup. And he's on to Maokai this game, a champion that EDG very much prefer to have top.
I went back and, I was watching a lot of ADGs, of course, which is the other team that EDG had. They had EDE, ADG, and then EDG. Mouse was a top laner for ADG. Before that, he was a support player. Teammates have lots of positive things to say about him. And his top lane performances have been quite consistent. He's not a huge carry player. I agree with that. He can every now and again step onto something like an Aurelia, like an Echo, but his tanks have been very good.
Well, let's see if they're going to do well once more here as we head on to the Rift for game number 1 between EDG and Vici. We have loaded onto the Rift here for game number 1 between EDG and Vici. We mentioned this as we were loading on. This is the first time we're going to see Rise fall through pick and bans. Not picked up at all, tarnishing that 100% pick ban rate here in the LPL.
Yeah, that's strange as well because, as I said, both team comps could have used a Rise. It's not like anything really stronger. Like Vladimir, arguably, yeah, all right, I can see that. But Rise isn't a horrible pick into it. But teams obviously getting what they want in this draft. Interested to see how they make this protect the Deft comp work. Also just the itemization that Deft goes for. I mean, hasn't picked up Smite, so he's not getting a Blood Razor, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to be able to see what Keystone Masteries these players have picked up. Nothing too surprising coming out from the team. You can see lots of Thunderlords on the side of EDG. Graves even opting to pick that one up over Strength of the Ages.
Yeah, and just because, when you have a look at the mid-season Magic changes that happened, Guinsoo's got changed. It's not a horrible rush item, but it's not great. And even before then, when we took some of the attack speed off it, people were going recurve bow into Guinsoo's, then into their Hurricane. We were seeing Bork come around, but I know Wit's End has been buffed. That's a possibility. There's a lot of magic damage. I'm not going to say I'm a proponent of Wit's End, but there are worse items to build on Cogmore, so I really am interested to see how Deft kicks off this build. Or whether he just goes something a little bit more standard, like Trinity Force, because Trinity Force was buffed and it's got much more attack speed and no crit on it, so it's a better item for Cogmore technically. Just did fall out of favor a lot.
That's something that first stood out to me as he picked up Cogmore into this game, something we talked about heading into this patch. We'll have to see what items he picks up later on in the game. For now, though, we are going to see standard lanes come out from both EDG and Vici. Graves going to be starting at the top side of the map, and so is the Kindred. So both the bottom lane lead carries and supports will pick up a camp at level 1, and both will hit level 2 quite nicely here.
And mid lane's going to be the interesting battle for me, because it's going to be a war of attrition between how much of the damage can Karma shield out and, put down a lot of damage if able to thread the Qs. Oh, Deft in trouble.
Very aggressive coming out from Caveman. Jumps on forward, tries to get the lockdown onto Deft. Instead, it's going to be Mako. They get stunned up. Lots of damage does go down. Braum taking a lot in return. Deft tries to duke it out, forces the flash away from the bomb, but it's just going to be flashes burnt from the two supports.
Yeah, and heal burn on Endless as well. So actually, Deft holding his nerve a little bit better than the 80 carry out of Vici, and they do actually end up winning that trade. Cogmore, of course, is an auto attacker of the wave, so gets a lot of health back passively throughout this. So interesting play out of the Vici bottom lane. You really do have to be aware of how toe-to-toe the EDG bottom lane is willing to go with you throughout all stages of the game.
Now that both the AD carries have healed up quite nicely, Clearlove has been waiting behind the side. They do get the hook on towards Endless immediately. Clearlove's going to try and dash in. That's a flash used by the Ashe. Going to get taken out for first blood. Given on over towards Clearlove. Dandy trying to come back down into this lane to try and get something started, but Mako flays it backwards. Lots of damage back down towards his Kindred. Forces the flash out of the jungler as well. EDG get a kill and burn even more summoners.
And you see that, Deft is running back and he's taking minion aggro. But he's just watching his health and he's like, okay, I do have to heal. So I heal on the lowest possible health. It's meanwhile top lane.
Long taking a lot of damage from Mouse here. Actually has to flash away from that final auto attack too.
And that's what I was saying. Mouse has actually been relatively consistent. I like what this young top laner is bringing to the EDG lineup. He's definitely not going to go absolutely berserk in every single game and, you know, carry in the way that Flandre does, but he's a good, consistent member. He doesn't lose lane by all that much and has a pretty deep champion pool, to be honest.
Well, it's been a very aggressive start overall across the map from EDG here. You know, getting a kill bottom lane, burning summoners across the map. The only place where it's been really quiet so far is back in towards that mid lane between Scout and EasyHoon.
And as I said, that's more of a war of attrition. Like, if EasyHoon makes a mistake, then Scout has a window where he can punish with a lot of burst damage early on. But then at the same time, you know, if Scout isn't careful with his mana, EasyHoon can just whittle him away. Of course, mana versus no mana is always a big struggle in the mid lane. We'll see which way it does go.
Now it's relatively even in that mid lane. Scout's going to be trying to take away as many of these small raptors as possible from Dandy. There's a small CS lead for EasyHoon, but nothing that's too big at the moment in this mid lane.
And there you go. That's what we're expecting to see, you know. EasyHoon runs up for some zoning potential. Scout doesn't really let him because he has a massive shield there. They jockey for position and they back away. But the more times that happens without really a big favorable trade going over to Scout, the further ahead that EasyHoon comes out in this lane.
Now taking a look back down towards the bottom lane here is Deft and Mako moving back down. Haven't picked up any major items just yet. Both Ashe and the Cogmore have a Cull picked up. That's nice communication there to take down the ward.
Yeah, certainly was, and that's kind of where we already saw. Clearlove isn't really running from a river kind of bottom ganker. He is come around the side, get as much depth into the lane as he can, and get Lantern in for the rest of it once the hook does land. So
he's waiting for it again. Back behind the creeps. Mako now going aggressive. Does put the Lantern back. Gonna miss the hook coming on towards Endless. But Clearlove still going aggressively forward towards the Ashe. Exhaust will come down to stop the approaches of Clearlove.
Dandy's here again, but they get the pink ward. They get position in lane, and they get the Summoner spell out one more time. So EDG are just continually to bully the part of the map that they know they're stronger. I mean, there still is a 10 CS lead here for the Ashe. She has great wave and great lane bullying, to be honest, but the fact that they're continually trying to push them back here is good news.
Dandy now has been caught out by Clearlove and Mako, forced to jump over the wall.
But just complete lane control for EDG. I mean, have a look at this. They're just continually walking forward, looking for hooks, looking for the play. They've swept out both the pink wards and a normal, just, you know, green ward there. That's good damage from Scout.
Trading back quite nicely in that mid lane. Meanwhile, top lane, Mouse still going aggressive here against Long. Pushing the wave out.
That's really smart from Mouse. See, this is what I mean. Like, intelligent player. Lung wins the trade, but there are about 16 creeps there just hitting the Gragger. So he CCs him up, keeps him in there, knows that he's going to get the grass proc up as well as the sap magic, goes into the trade, actually comes out ahead. Other top laners would just turn around, back away from that, you know, let the wave either be frozen, but he forces a positive trade in his favor, goes back, knows that he's going to heal up, and actually means that Lung has to go back as well. So now the wave is just neutral. That's really solid, mechanical, fundamental play out of Mouse that I think that people overlook, because Koro was, like, Koro would be playing Jackson Aurelia in this meta. Like, let's get that straight. But Mouse is, you know, he's doing his job. He's being nice and consistent. Well,
the items between the two top laners are completely even right now, but Mouse still has a wave advantage in terms of CS score. And on top of that, did burn the flash earlier from Long. They both teleported back to lane previously, so that will be on cooldown for now, but will come up shortly. Clearlove's going to give blue buff on over towards Scout. That will definitely help him out against the manaless EasyHoon in the mid lane. It's Dandy going to do what he can to clear out his red buff on the top side of his jungle at the same time.
Both junglers actually farming quite effectively. I mean, they spent a lot of time in that bottom lane, but their pathing has been good, and they're staying at the level 6 before actually picking up their second round of major buffs, which is nice to see. Easyhoon actually starting to get traded back on a little bit. And Karma's popularity as a support has really interested me, because the reason I thought she would come in so big as a support is she's great, don't get me wrong, but I thought the versatility of being able to be flex mid is what would really sell it to a lot of teams. However, we saw support Karma like become the most popular support in the game for a while, and the mid lane Karma didn't really follow for majority of teams. Seeing it now come through, especially because of its power in protection comps and anti-dives comps, is interesting.
It's still flex occasionally. Wasn't in this game though. Is Dandy going to be able to take away his own blue buff inside of the jungle? We actually saw Easyhoon have a slight CS lead early. He's continued to try and grow that one in the mid lane. So now he's approaching 10 CS ahead of Scout.
Yeah, Scout's doing the right thing, however. He's held his teleport twice. I mean, he's just walking it back to lane. Sure, Easyhoon doesn't have that, but Vlad's a very high-pressure mid laner. Going to continue to shove you in, get these CS discrepancies. But Scout doing the selfless thing. He understands that, you know, this is a Kog'Maw comp. He has to be available to get into that bottom lane if a gank does go awry. So he's not really going to be burning that summoner spell, which has cost him a CS deficit so far.
Well, Danny actually waited to see if he can get down towards this bottom lane. Good ward comes out from Mako. He's able to spot out Vici's jungler lurking around the bot side of the map.
And you can tell how practiced EDG is of playing around their bottom lane. They know exactly where to ward. They know which wards to sweep to get clear love in there. And you can see that Vici, a team that normally plays towards the top side of their map, not really as practiced as this. This is a couple of times that Dandy's just had a lot of wasted moments in the bottom lane. And it is going to actually be the Gwynsu who's picked up first for death still, so no Trinity Force.
Pickaxe coming in does have the dagger as well, which will probably be upgraded into the recurve bow, the added component of the Gwynsu's Rage Blade.
I actually can't believe you know what it builds out of. I'm stuck on the old one.
Well, he should be picking that one up, like you said. Let's see if he does continue along that path. I highly doubt Death will be changing that. He has hit level 6 here. He's able to farm up the lane quite nicely and safely using his ultimate now. It's still fairly even down that bottom lane. We can see Ash has picked up the BF sword, whereas mid lane, Lost Chapter coming out for Scout, whereas a Negatron Cloak coming out from Easyhoon early, trying to mitigate as much damage as possible coming out from Karma.
And now that level 6 has been picked up for Braum as well as the Ash, there's a lot of kill threat down there onto Def, so they're right to give it the respect that it deserves. Scout trading relatively well in the mid lane, and I would be interested to see how long it just goes like this, how long Deft is happy to stay in the bottom lane and just continue to farm up. Is now Mouse in trouble.
Long knocks back Mouse here in the top lane as Dandy is looking for a gank through the lane. Just a flash being burnt there by the Malcolm, but he's going to take a lot of damage in the mid lane. Scout puts down one final Q. The minions are not going to be able to auto-attack enough to take him down, but it forces the ultimate coming out from Vladimir.
Yeah, and he has to pull as well. Still in a lot of trouble here, Easyhoon. He has to get the heck out of lane because the Karma mantra is going to be up relatively soon. Actually, it is up, so yeah, he just has to bail. That's another, let's go back to Mouse. Burns the flash nice and early. Okay, cool. I got caught out of position. That's my bad. I was too far up my lane. I got Gragas ulted back in. Twisted advance. Burn the flash. A lot of top laners would greed for that, not want to burn their summoner spell. And, you know, all of a sudden the slow comes out from Kindred. You're being body slammed. You can't get out in time. Just burn the summoner spell nice and early. And, you know, young kid, very, very promising.
It's been rather consistent for the EG lineup. Looking to do the exact same thing here in their first match against Vici. It's very even between these two teams. EDG have grown a nice 1,000 goal lead for themselves up ahead of Vici, just 11 minutes into this game. Nothing too drastic.
Yeah, pretty much the first blood and a little bit of farm in some of the lanes, but otherwise really quiet. And you'd have to think that, you know, Vici's lineup, they want to be generating picks. Kindred's a little bit more early game focused than the Graves, who's going to be a team fighting monster. You'd think that the tempo of this game so far suits the EDG lineup.
Mm-hmm. Both these two teams, though, however, very famous for utilizing the map as much as possible in all of their games. So uneventful laning phases are fairly common between these two teams. As Caveman and Endless were waiting to try and get something happening down in this bottom lane. Like you mentioned earlier, lots of kill threat coming out from Ash and Braum, but we haven't seen them pull the trigger just yet.
Yeah, and, you know, it's good because they're using it to just keep them at bay. They scout out the first recall. Dandy's going to start up the Dragon for the first time as well, so just small advantages being reclaimed back, and this is kind of how Vici get themselves back into the game. They're not LGD, they're not going to go for the one big team fight to really swing the game back in their favor. They're more than content to just turn winning lanes into even more winning lanes and, you know, grab the neutral objectives when they're free.
And it is an Ocean Dragon. Danny's got it down pretty low here. Mako
He's
finally going to spot it out.
Karma's coming as well.
But it does get sliced away, so Danny does pick up the Ocean Dragon. Next to spawn will be a Cloud Dragon.
Yeah, so 2 of the more passive dragons coming in. Meanwhile, EDG use that to pick themselves up a cross-map objective.
Thank you, Long, for the leash. Clearly, I was just going to smite away those Krogs. There's Mako now actually moving up towards the river here, trying to clear as many wards as possible. Dandy spots him out and collapses on him as he's here and going to go aggressively forward, puts down the ultimate. Mako getting hit by the arrow from downtown, and Endless picks up a kill for Vici.
Yeah, and that's greedy out of EDG. I mean, they knew their jungler was on the top side of the map, and Vici knew it as well. They tried to stop the mark, and Danny makes him pay with very decisive play on the Kindred there. But Mako, there's just no point contesting that, and it just also forces Deft off what is a huge wave bottom. Really, a slip up there from EDG, and they lose some of their advantage.
Well, Deft was 10 CS down previously against Endless, is now caught up, and in fact is ahead in terms of CS at the moment. He's going to be farming up as much of this wave as possible. Caveman and Endless already poising aggressively towards the Kog'Maw.
And once again, that was actually really aggressive out of Deft because Lung has teleport. Dandy's on the bottom side of the map. They can potentially make a teleport play if you do sit there and defend, but Deft flirts with the danger, comes out ahead, so he's nice and happy about that.
You mentioned they could make that teleport play. All the teleports are up on the map. EDG currently have 2, with Scout and Mouse both bringing it to the Rift today.
And I think it was the fact that Endless threw out the ultimate. I mean, if he had have still had that available, probably wouldn't have looked for that. Dandy takes a blue for himself. Important to note, even though Kindred doesn't have AP, clears way quicker with a blue buff. The fact that cooldown reduction, able to spam abilities as well. Just helps Kindred out a lot. I like giving it over to Kindred during the laning phase because EasyHoon doesn't really need it now. He's not a kill laner. Then as soon as you get into team fights, you know, Vlad does have some of that extra AP. You give it over to him for the percentage. But whilst the Kindred can use it around the map, you know, continue to give it.
Kindred even picking up the Hunter's Potion coming into this game. That's a lot of damage just being dished out by Deft there, bringing both Endless and Caveman down towards half their health.
That was really smooth mechanics as well. You see him moving over to Caveman as soon as Endless is out of range. They kind of went in one after each other, and Deft very heavily punishes them in a 1v2 situation.
Showing he's had some practice on those Kog'Maw.
His Kog'Maw's great. In fact, Imp and Deft were... Like, Imp has always had the Kog'Maw and the Twitch, like, as their hyper carries, but Deft has always been relatively good at them, just quietly. Very good team fighter, so, you know, he can play hyper carries with the best of them.
Well, major items are coming out from these 2 teams as Mouse and Clearlove looking to try and take down this Rift Herald. We can see the Proto Belt has come out from EasyHoon here as his first major item pickup. Scout has gone for the Morellonomicon, so trying to reduce the healing that Vladimir can dish out once he's low on health.
And let's get straight, it's just not Vladimir. I mean, Gragas's healing is also really annoying to sustain through as the game goes on. Then you're going to have Ashe building lifesteal at some point. That's just going to be a general overall good item.
Kindred's ult as well. As mid lane, Scout going to take a lot of damage here. Has to flash away. EasyHoon flashes aggressively forward. The arrow comes in one more time. Endless is a sniper as he picks up another kill.
Yeah, so one more time. Endless nails someone with the ultimate. They're going to use the Graves ulti to try and save the mid lane turret. But that's just another force from the Vici lineup, and they're able to come up trumps. As soon as they know that they're at the Rift Herald, they make a play on another portion of the map, and it comes up pretty huge.
EDG is still able to stop them from taking down the turret, so able to mitigate the damage dealt by Vici so far. Kog'Maw's gone back to base as well and has picked up that Yomu's Ghostblade as well as the Berserker Greaves, which have been buffed slightly coming into this patch.
He didn't mean Yomu's, guys. He
Quince's Rageblade, not Yomu's Ghostblade.
He's all right. We're with you. Don't stress. That was a gimme, but you know it happens. But 2 kills over to the Ashe, like Endless, in what was a losing lane for him, where he was just kind of, you know, having to farm passively against Kog'Maw, really play Kog'Maw's game. It's come up pretty big, the fact that now he's got 2 kills and will go back, grab a Hurricane for himself.
Sitting on that BF sword as well, so has a little bit of base damage to go with the extra augmented attacks that Hurricane gives you. Dragon's going to be respawning about 1:45 here. It is a Cloud Dragon. That's a very aggressive Protobelt coming out from EasyHoon. Just get a little bit of damage down towards Scouts.
It's such a low cooldown that you can kind of afford to do things like that, as you can see. Endless still being forced off this turret, even though he does have a lot of items.
Lots of poke damage coming out from Scout here, trying to push up the wave as much as possible. Does have that nice spike with the Gwyn's Rage Plate.
And there you go. If you want to know how Deft is building Cogmore, max out the W, max out the E equally. No points in Q yet. Take ultimate whenever you possibly can.
Standy is able to take down the Rift Scuttler about a minute before this Dragon spawns. I don't think we would see too much contention, seeing that it's a Cloud Dragon.
Yeah, potentially not, but I mean, EDG are at a fairly good point in the game. They've got a major item on their AD carry. They've got the Morellonomicon. Arrow coming across.
Looking to try and find Scout here. He walks back, sees it, dodges back forward.
And now they have to have alarm bells because that is a big go sign for anything in the bottom lane. I mean, Deft and Mako, finally the arrow has been used without really being punished.
Immediately, you can see Deft put a lot of damage back down towards the Brom as soon as the arrow has been used.
Because that really is the only nullifying factor. I mean, if Ashe gets hooked, there's no way she's getting away from the Thresh, getting away from all the slows that's coming out of Cogmore. And you can see that they're actually choosing to leave lane now. They don't even want to farm equally. They just want to be repetitively pushed in, see where this can go.
Still fairly quiet between EDG and Vici as Dragon's going to be spawning in 10 seconds. Neither team has made any aggressive moves towards that pit just yet. We saw the Rift Herald being taken down previously by EDG, and it's giving Mouse an opportunity to put in some work towards Long, poking him out of the lane quite nicely here.
Yeah, and Mouse is just continuing to be a bully, and we say this a lot about Maokai. In a tank-only meta, Maokai is always going to come up trumps. As you can see that Deft and Mako still looking for action in the bottom lane. So that is a win condition. I mean, he's just forced Lung out completely. He's probably going to have to teleport back to lane or risk losing the turret because of that Rift Herald buff. And they're passively losing bot. I mean, it's now 20 CS, the difference. That turret's pretty close to going down as well. So Vici maybe even will look to just break laning phase because they're starting to lose multiple lanes at the same time.
And there is that top lane turret going down naturally here by Mouse. He's the one that's been getting ganked as well by Dandy up in that top lane, so he's been having a pretty solid laning phase here.
And I think it was Frostgurren that said it, is that Mouse has turned into, for EDG, what Lung was supposed to be for Vici all that time. The versatile tank player that is going to guarantee a winning lane on the top side of the map so that Dandy and EasyHoon can do their job. And the best thing about it for EDG is that Scout and Mouse aren't really win conditions. It's all about the jungle support and AD carry. And then the other guys just have to be there to play utility. But if you have winning utility, it's worth so much more around the map.
Well, if they're here to play utility, so they got the right champions to do so, with Karma and Maokai being picked up here into game one. So it's still fairly quiet on the map despite that turret going down. You can see Dandy trying to take away the blue buff here, which will be given over towards the Gragas. So small counter juggling coming out from Vici here, trying to control as much of the map as possible.
Heads up play out of EDG, they just let it go. They had already sent their top laner back. Lung had been in him there by a long time. Scout can't get across because he's being pushed in the mid lane, so they just get the heck out of dodge, and Scout doesn't really need it anymore. Karma's not the most mana-intensive champion in the game.
We're going to move back down towards the bottom lane. It's Deft and Mako still pushing out this lane rather aggressively. He's picked up a Zeal as his next item here for the Cogmore. Probably going to go for that Runan's Hurricane next.
Yeah, you would expect a Hurricane to come out. I wonder if it does at any point go into the Trinity Force. I don't think so, because, you know, a lot of Trinity Force's old power on him was that it would give him a weird bridging item into some crit as he picked up a very late game Infinity Edge. But you don't expect that to come out of modern Cogmore.
It's still very aggressive from Scout here, using the Hextech Proto Belt as often as he can to dash in towards Scout. And now Danny has his eyes set towards this Baron pit one more time. Going to take down the Rift Scuttler first. Lots of members of Vici have grouped up around the pit itself, and they're going to be starting that one, looking to try and take the second drag of the game.
And this makes sense, right? Stack it up if you have a Kindred. They actually pull away from it. Top lane is still pretty heavily going in favor of the Maokai, honestly. Neither would be able to join in the result of a 5v5.
Even in items up in the top lane. Only difference being their boots. Mercury threads, being picked up there by the Maokai. Only boots of lucidity for the Gragas.
And you can see finally they're happy to force bottom lane. They've brought the Graves into line of sight. They're looking to push out on that turret.
Def getting a lot of damage down once again here. Mako and Clearlove providing the assistance they need to chip away at that turret as much as possible.
And a patient game out of EDG. They think they have the scaling here with a Protect the Cogmore comp, and they're just keeping Clearlove in the relevant areas of the map and just slowly winning out on this one.
Danny is waiting to see if he can make something happen down in this bottom lane. Clearlove is still poised right behind his AD carry and supporting them in case anything goes south for the bottom lane duo.
But Mako hasn't hit a hook, right? So that's just an outright force. And meanwhile, all the other lanes just farming up. So EDG, they were looking to break open the map. you know, maybe afterwards get 5 members into that mid lane position and see if they can start shoving in Easy Hoon's Vladimir. But meanwhile, weren't able to get it done, so they're just going to continue to chip away.
Still very quiet and very even between these two teams. EDG sitting on a turret above Vici, whereas Vici did take down the first Ocean Dragon of the game.
This is an incredibly quiet game. I mean, at this point against RNG, first aggressive move maybe.
Easy Hoon going to get jumped on here. Scout's able to lock him down, force the pull coming out from the Vladimir. Immediately pops that Crimson Rush, runs towards Scout. And Longsock's going to teleport into the backlines here, but Mouse follows him, gets the Twisted Advance on towards the Gragas. Splash forward coming out from Mako, not going to connect the hook. They're still going to get a lot of damage down on towards the EDG lineup. Lung goes down before Danny can put down his own ultimate. Going to get taken down by the final Q coming out from Scout. Easy Hoon forced the pull away one more time here. And Vici lose 2 members in the first team fight of the game.
Yeah, and we were saying it was quiet. All of a sudden, EDG, they picked their moment, burst it open, and it is going to be a 24-minute Baron. That's what I was going to quote against the RNG lineup. And one more time, they've got such a dangerous comp to face check. No ultimates available for Vici, and this will burn down.
Kog'Maw's already popped his W. They're trying to chip away at the Baron as much as possible. It's down to half health. They try to turn around immediately using the Empowered E coming out from Karma. Philip actually taking a lot of damage in the back half of this Baron Pit. Has to be a little bit careful. Down to 3,000 health.
They're split focus.
He's trying to use the W to kite back and forth between Caveman here. Gets exhausted. A double kill going to come out from Vladimir. Easy Hoon goes aggressively forward. Takes down Def. Baron does fall to EDG. Mouse goes big as he picks up a kill. He gets another. There goes Endless, able to pick up the final kill there. It's now cleared up against Endless. The jungler doesn't want this fight. And what a chaotic Baron pickup there.
So 4 for 4, EDG get the Baron, but Clearlove just abandons his top laner Fish. I mean, he left him to the wolves. Mouse was like, we've got this, and Clearlove was like, sorry buddy, I'm going over the wall. Let's take another look. Instant double kill comes out. Def can try and do his best to kite back, but really he can't get away from that, and Clearlove kind of bails, and Mouse goes huge. I mean, he just pops off on the back line, grabs the instant double kill, and Clearlove's like, if I had stuck around, you probably would have lived.
He left it to the wolves, but he made the most of that situation there. So we can take a look at the damage dealt during that fight. No surprise, it's going to be Def stepping up.
And look at the coward, the Grave, 0 damage in the team fight. Just booked it over the wall.
It was on the side of Vici. Lung and Danny after being taken down initially before the Baron was started. Also not doing anything during that fight itself. As Mako now actually getting jumped on by Danny and Caveman here. Puts a lot of damage on towards this Thresh. He will get taken down. Teleport coming to the back half here. Danny forced to try and hop away, but Scout picks up the kill with the Thunderlord's proc. Mouse is here as well. Locks down Caveman. Finds another kill for EDG. Vici now have to start running away as they've lost 2 members once again.
Yeah, that's 2 members. They go for a pick. You know, they're just trying to stall out the Baron buff and what it can do. If you get a pick, all of a sudden people go back to lanes. They can't group up. All of a sudden they give away 2 kills for just the support. And now mid lane going to be opened up. We'll see if they push a second one, because no one really ready to deal with Baron up creeps yet on the Vici lineup.
Clearlove is in this lane, so he's able to enhance the minions pushing in towards this turret. Back to leave, so these are not going to be empowered up minions enough for Def to chip away at the tower again.
Yeah.
Instead, Clearlove wants to pick up red buff here. He's able to take away from Vici.
So they do grab 1 turret for it, as well as a couple of picks. They've got themselves a 3,000 gold lead. I guess they're still happy to scale up. I mean, QSS coming out nice and early from Def to keep himself safe. Oh, it's so beautiful watching good Kog'Maw players.
He doesn't even clear the ward. Why? That was fun to watch, but it was rather tilting, not taking away that scrying ward.
Nah. It's all good.
Well, speaking of Def, he did pick up that Runon's Hurricane here. So lots of attack speed on towards this Kog'Maw, and also able to hit multiple targets once he pops up his W.
Endless is pretty big as well. I mean, he got a double in the back end of that fight. He's 4-1 and 2.
He's got an Infinity Edge.
Got his Infinity Edge. Going for a Bloodthirster as well, it looks like. Maybe, possibly, Essence. But if you're going to grab Essence, you may as well just do it as your first item. So don't really see the likelihood of that coming out.
The rest of the map, we do have a Yoma's Ghost Blade, and actually Yoma's Ghost Blade.
Yeah, a real one this time.
A real one. He's also looking for the Maw of Mount Mortius as his next item.
It's a lot of flat penetration coming out of Clearlove, and makes sense. There's only going to be 1 major tank. It's going to be pretty good against the Kindred, blowing him up, and Lung's caught.
Mako lines a hook on towards Lung here. Mouse going to lock him down. Clearlove just deletes him before Danny can use the ultimate again here. Second time he was not able to save a teammate. Mako not going to get the second hook as he flashes forward for it.
Def puts out so much damage on this Kog'Maw right now. You know, the big burst comes out of Clearlove to secure the kill, but just the spell weaving. And that was a 4v4 with Scout still in the bottom lane. They're going to look to push through on this tier 2 bottom turret. EDG's just controlling the tempo of the game. This has been very business as usual for the team.
EDG have already rotated all 5 members down towards this bottom lane. Vici trying to reassemble the team here, as that bottom lane inner turret's going to get taken down really quickly by EDG's lineup.
And this is dangerous for Vici to watch, because Vici is normally the control team, the team that won't force. Now they're looking like they have to, because in the slow measured game, EDG's just beating them.
Well, looks like they'll try
teleport
to force
coming
a fight.
in.
Their teleport is coming into the back lines, rather far off though. Arrow is available for Caveman, but Mouse
way too far away.
It's going to be the one that starts the fight off here. Easy Hoon already used the pull, tries to get to back lines, forced to pop the Zhonya's Hourglass. Mouse very deep into the back lines, going to get taken down. Def is able to pick up Easy Hoon though, as Long trying to soak up as much damage as possible. Those are very low health bars for the Vici lineup. Endless, you get tagged up, gets taken down by Clear. They're chasing aggressively forward, as here comes the ultimates getting popped by Def. They're trying to find an assassination pick off the back half of this fight.
Mako's got the movies in.
He's going to be able to flay Long backwards, gets a hook as well. Kludov and Scout will be the one that picks up that kill there, so another good team fight for EDG.
And as we said, you know, Vici are the slow measured team. They want to be controlling the tempo of the game. Well, EDG's just doing that better right now. So they make the desperation Hail Mary play, and Lung's not used to it. He teleported like 3/4 away around the map, and people had died before he even got there, Fish.
Shows up after the pull and after the Zhonya's being used by Easy Hoon. They're not the best timing of arrival. Some people say it's better late than never, but
those people are wrong in this situation.
Didn't turn out so good. EDG going to be able to take down the mid lane inner turret. I believe the bottom lane inhibitor turret for that as well.
And they're pushing up all 3 lanes simultaneously. So, you know, Scout, he's going to make this wave hit. No hope of a deep freeze. Baron's only a minute away. That was a wide arrow there from Endless. I was in at the start of the game. It's fallen away quite dramatically since then.
Dialed in well. He has not calibrated his skill shots yet since.
Burned them all too early.
Was the American sniper for some time. That's kind of fallen off here for Endless. He's still 4-2-3, still sitting on the exact same items as we last checked in with him. Meanwhile, Deft is looking to pick up a Blade of the Ruined King as his 3rd item pickup for Cogmore.
Has it? So
back to base.
He's going back to base, going to pick that one up. You can see Void Star finish for Scout as well. This team well and truly online. I mean, Mouse has got pretty much 4 full tank items at this stage of the game.
Yep.
He's not dying anytime soon.
You can even see Cluelove. He's going to pick up a Dustblade of Draxar for his Graves here. So lots of armor penetration, like we mentioned earlier, still being stacked by Graves. Finally going to take down the Trinket Ward being put down previously by Vici.
Dustblade is seeing so much play on like compositions where you have great upfront damage. So, you know, the Jhin, fantastic upfront damage with the ultimates. Graves, similar theory, right? You dash in, 2 auto attacks, buckshot into end of the line into the ultimate there. It's just going to blow someone up. I like the item. I always have Atlas loves it. I don't have the same kind of affinity as Atlas does. That was purely a naming convention. Danny in trouble.
He's been locked down here. Graves going to keep him... Sorry, Thresh is going to keep him locked inside of his own ultimate. He's going to be able to keep alive for some time. Scout tries to find the assassination off the back half. It's going to be a flash coming out away from the Graves ultimate, but meanwhile, it's going to be Caveman that is taken out in return. Another pick comes out for EDG.
Yeah, one more time, you know, Danny gets caught and Caveman pays for it with his life, and EDG just make a beeline towards this Baron because, once again, they have a great pick comp. Karma Maokai, just speed the Maokai up and send him in there. And also, they just take no damage from this because Maokai is massive.
EDG have immediately started up a Baron
Mako
play
gets
here.
hit.
Mako does get locked down by the enchanted Crystal Arrow. Easy who dashes it immediately, pops the pool as soon as possible, trying to deal whatever damage he can. Mouse trying to soak up what he can for EDG in the front lines. Gets the Twisted Advance up towards Endless. Clearlove going aggressive in forward. Lung trying to shut him down, but Clearlove picks up the kill. EDG just chasing forward. Def's all the way into the front line, spraying and praying at the rest of the Vici team. Dandy is the only member left alive, and EDG goes straight back towards Baron.
Yeah, they just turn around. They're going to be able to pick up the objective. I mean, Vici fight one more time and are found wanting. EDG just look like they're on such the same page. I mean, getting Mouse onto priority targets time and time again. And you don't want to be here.
Danny wants to try and go in for that steal, but he's taking too much damage. Caveman just takes all the shots coming out from Cogmore and gets taken down there. They find the Baron and another pick for EDG.
Yeah, Def just over the wall, stands and delivers. And it's always been said, you know, if you have a Braum and you're against a Hurricane user, sometimes it can be bad because 3 bolts are just fired into that Unbreakable. And he absolutely smashes him. Look at that damage.
Especially when he does 5,200 damage in a single team fight there. More than double of anybody, not only on his team, but even close
on the map,
to Vici's team. Whew. Not good.
And as you can see, I mean, he's such a polished AD carry. Who else would you really want having a fed Cogmore in the back lineup?
Vici tried to take 4 AD carries away from Def. Not working at all in this game. Just pulls out the Cogmore. He's currently 4, 1, and 10. A huge backline threat for EDG right now.
Yeah, certainly is. And all of a sudden, Easy Hoon, he's no longer using that proto belt to go aggressive.
Yep,
I can
trying
tell
to
you
run
that.
away. And to use the pool as well. Things are not looking great for Vici so far. As the Mountain Dragon is going to be picked up by EDG as well. They're 11,000 gold ahead of the Vici lineup. Just 33 minutes into this game and looking very much in control of the map right now.
And you know, they're just prepping waves. Mid lane's pushing in. They grab bottom as well. Top lane will be pushing back, so maybe someone has to go have a look at that one. It would be Scout because he's a teleport user right now.
And they're looking to try and push in towards the bottom lane inhibitor. They already took down the turret previously.
Scout's a little bit late to this one. He is finally rotating in, so they can go. See where they speed out Mouse and get him into the back line one more time.
He's already positioning rather aggressively there. Going to get shielded up by the Karma, but it's just Def that's chipping away at this inhibitor again. Down to half health already. Nobody touching this Cogmore. Mouse going to start the initiation on top of Long. Dustblade going to deal a lot of damage towards the Gragas. He's down towards less than a quarter of his health. Dandy does get hit by the full Graves ultimate. Easy Who just going to get locked down by Def there. Has to use the pool away from the ultimate. Flashes away even as he has to use the X-Tank Proto Belt to get away from that final ultimate coming out from the Cogmore.
And Deft is massive right now. I mean, he just absolutely obliterated the Vlad's health bar. Now they've hooked Long.
Not able to get the flay backwards. EDG already dominant during that first engagement, and here comes the arrow coming up from Endless. Only lands on towards Mako. Mouse immediately claps and puts up his ultimate to reduce any damage coming up afterwards as follow-up. This turret in lots of danger here. Hook not going to connect. Easy goes aggressively forward. Gets melted as soon as he tries to do anything aggressive there. Mako flashes in, gets the flay down, pops the ultimate, stands on top of Kindra's ultimate, stay alive. Vici are so low. It's a double kill for Def, a triple kill, and 2 more kills being followed up by Scout there. EDG clean up Vici.
Yeah, Vici is done for this game. EDG in 35 minutes will be able to take game 1 behind a very cute Protect the Cogmore comp. And you know, we said both these teams looking for form. I think that EDG has found it.
Whew. It was a very slow game start between EDG and Vici. But once it started, EDG just burst out of the gates and hit the ground running.
And you know, it kind of hit that 23-minute mark. 2 items on Def. They get that one team fight. Vici got desperate. They're like, we are getting outscaled. We can't get in on this composition. Let's start throwing Hail Marys. And they threw 3 of them, and none of them came close to the mark.
EDG, though, very clinical at the back end of that game. I just want to start that one with the 80 carry bands coming up from Vici, targeting towards Deft and Mako, a very, very strong bottom lane duo. It didn't work. They just pulled out a Cogmore and do the exact same thing they would normally do with any other orthodox picks, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. They leave so much open. I mean, the Vladimir, the Rise, and it all doesn't seem to matter, at least on EDG's side, because they were getting team fights just like this one, where they were able to get the picks before the Kindred ultimate was coming out. Really off game, actually, from Dandy. And they were just able to clean up team fight after team fight.
And that's one of the matchups I wanted to talk about before we headed into the match. Dandy against Clearlove. It was light and day, the performance between the 2 junglers coming into this game.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, Clearlove looked incredibly comfortable on Graves.
Yep.
Went the unique build, as we talked about. You know, he has a Dustblade, he has all the penetration in there. But was continually in the right place at the right time. This is another good example. I mean, they get the pick on Mako. That's fantastic. But Clearlove cleans up 2 kills on the back end of this. And, you know, once again, transitions it down mid lane. EDG looked like they just had the map covered better than Vici.
This was one of those Hail Marys coming up from Vici here where a very long teleport came in from Long.
And, you know, Gragas is a fat dude. Like, you got to give him time to get to a team fight. You can't just teleport him into the mid lane and expect him to run bottom. By the time he did get there, he was out of breath. He couldn't throw a cast properly, Fish. Stuff was going everywhere.
Certainly was. And what was going everywhere is the bodies from the side of Vici. And Steph once again able to clean up that team fight. It was just team fight after team fight that EDG were able to sweep away from Vici. There was no avenue attack being poised by Vici at all in that game.
Yeah, and as I said, they kind of realized that they were getting outscaled, and they're like, crap, like this is our game plan is to take it late. We have the Vladimir, but we just can't get a look in on this Cogmore. So let's start going, and you know, it didn't work out. Dandy, all out of sorts. The bottom lane, don't think they looked as comfortable on the Braum and the Ashe. They were just pushed under the turret repetitively. When Mako Def take a similar lane, they absolutely dominate with it. And I think that, once again, that was a pick away comp as opposed to like pick what we are good at.
I mean, you look at EDG side, it looked like they wanted to go late as well, and they proved that as they take game number 1 against Vici. We're going to go into a very quick break, but we'll be back for the rest of that series between EDG and Vici. Don't go anywhere.